Ladies and gentlemen, before starting my argument, I would like to do rebuttals to the argument that has been sent by the opposition team. So the opposition team, first of all, said that the corruptors will do corruption again only if they got a job after the social punishment. But in the status quo in the States, we also know and aware that the social punishment isn't that harsh. Did not have the harsh impact to them as long as they still have their properties, since it's not been taken away because they all only got rehabilitated. They will still live in their own comfort zone. The opposition team also said that if we did the impoverishment, then they'll do petty crimes such as stealing and others kind of crime, and it will be a responsibility. It will be a burden to the law enforcers such as police and other kinds. But we know that it's the responsibility of the law enforcers to take over them. So we think that it's not something that we need to think about, because it's already their job, their responsibility, their liability to take care of the petty crimes, and we don't need to think about it anymore because it's their job. The opposition team also said that if rehabilitation happened, it will solve the problem from the root. But nowadays, we know that the corruption did not witness what they have done directly. They did not witness the impact of their doings. The impact is unseen for them since they are doing white-collar crimes. What is white-collar crimes? White-collar crimes is something that is done by those who in high position, those officials, we could say. And for them, this kinds of impact is only a slap on the arm, which is what we're trying to fix. Maximum jail time in Indonesia itself is 20 years, which means the maximum time for rehabilitation for the corruptors is also only 20 years. But it's easy for corruptors to cut their own punishment, to lessen their own punishment by their own powers in politics and by their own money. They could decrease their own punishment, meaning the rehabilitation it will be in a short time, and it will cause no effect for them, no change in the society. While the main goal of the rehabilitation, which was talked by the opposition team, is to fix the behavior from the root and give intense behavior change. But this could not be done because of the short of the punishment. For example, if the maximum punishment is actually 20 years, someone is given 20 years of punishment, but they make their own punishment to be 5 years, means that it's not the maximum time to do the rehabilitation. And there are also VIP jails that give their comfort for corruptors, and they did not feel guilty about it. They could add a television or maybe other kinds of furniture in their own jail. After they finish the time of their imprisonment, or we could say as rehabilitation, they will still have their private properties, their own private business that did not be tied from their previous place that they work in. For example, previous office or maybe in the government, because it's their own private property. By this, they will still could enjoy their life. They will be in their own comfort zone. This means that they will not be in the maximum capability of their rehabilitation, which is what the opening government have said in the status quo, that jail time also fails sometimes, and they did not get their maximum imprisonment. The opposition said that it's hard to track the asset, isn't it? But we all know that nowadays technology is starting to be high and strong, which means it's really hard to hide stuff from the technology. Now I will start my argument. As the government, we are trying to give a deterrent effect to the corruptors. By giving deterrent effect, they will have behavior change. The white-collar crime itself are for those corruptors who done the white collar crime itself means that they already know what is the consequence of their doing. But instead of but when they know the consequence, they still choose to do it because they want to gain even more profit. This means that they choose the profit over their own family. By giving impoverishment, the society will trust the government more. And once again, if it gives repairment to the poor, it gives life insurance, health insurance, maybe social insurance, and any other kinds of insurance for the poor, for other kinds of society, which give a more impact to the victim. It became something helpful to the society. Impoverishment of small amounts of people will not really affect the rate of poverty if we take a glance of what great impact it does. As we are already aware of, some people in high position actually have been giving favors to the corruptors. They also got benefit from corruptors while decreasing their punishment. Our society did not trust the government because they also involved, which I said before, on how those corruptors lessen their own punishment. The opposition team might talk about human rights because it's a rights that all people have. But when they do the white collar crime, when they do the punishment, they already violate two rights. First, their own rights, and the second, the rights of the society, which means that it already damaged their own right, and their own right doesn't become exclusive anymore. If they want to talk about their own rights, it doesn't become exclusive anymore since they violate their own right. That's all from me as the member of the government. Thank you.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, money is power. Having a punishment for corruption in the form of jail time, fine, or even rehabilitation will not make the loss of power of money the corruptor has now. Ladies and gentlemen, opposition team say that jail time and fine is enough, and if it is implemented. If we say that it is enough for someone to do corruption, to be in jail, but you see in our status quo, there's a lot of corruption that have not been caught yet, and there are a lot of them that run away to overseas, and they are living their best life, and the government don't even have the ability to catch them because it is a lack of law enforcement. And also there are a lot of them that have the money and they can have a good quality of jail. Sometimes it's like even have a commissioner or even politician because they still have the power of money they had before, and they can there are a lot of bribery in our status quo in jail because they can get all that good stuff like I said before, and it is just the same like they are at home, and they can do that because they still have the money and we didn't impoverish them. For example, we could see that for someone that only do robbery, that placed into jail, that have so many people, lack of hygiene or lack of facilities, meanwhile the corruptor that took a lot of people money can still live their best life, still live in a proper room, and like someone that do a small crime like robbery needs to suffer in a small jail room. And also the jail time for corruption won't give deterrent effect to them because with their money, like I said before, they still can bribe their jail and they can still have a good facilities from them, and just like in their home. And how come the jail can give them deterrent effect if it is like that? For example, like you can see like an old lady that took some fruit, steal some fruit, she's going to jail and she will get the deterrent effect from it because it will affect her economy. But corruptor that have a lot of money, how come that jail will affect them? How can we make them have a deterrent effect if we just make them to go to jail and fine or even rehabilitation. And also the opposition teams also state that how much the fine that they will give to the corruption, and how much the fine will cover the effect that they give to the people that affected. You see that in our status quo, there are a lot of people that took the money from our COVID pandemic funds, and it is really affect a lot of people, and impoverishing 1% that caused a lot of people to suffer is reasonable for me, because we will save a lot of lives that need them, and because the corruption did that to them, they have to have their own consequences. They need to know their consequences. And also, if you say that focusing them will add the burden to our state, but the comparison of 1% that's suffering and 1,000 or even 1,000,000 person that's suffering is a very difference, and it's a very huge in number, because one number won't add a bigger burden to our state. And the opposition team said that if you are empowering someone, that means you make them live below the poverty line, like of food. But focusing them in this case, that doesn't mean we take their clothes or other. They can still have it, and saying that they live below the poverty line is unreasonable. There are a lot of people that lack money. They can still live their life because they still try to earn the money, and we believe that the corruption will do the same thing, because they need to live. They need to give their family food or even other things, so that we believe that impoverishing them is the better ways. And for our argument, we will give the deterrent effect and behavior change if you impoverish the corruption. You see that we need to give them deterrent effect, because they need to know what consequences of things that they do. They make a lot of people suffer, then they need to know that the consequences of making a lot of people suffer is a big consequences. They need to taste their own medicine, the one that they are started. They need to really feel it, and they need to know when they take people's money, it is not a small crime that they did. They did a big crime that makes people suffer. And by giving this deterrent effect, they will have a behavior change. They won't do it again, because they see that people will suffer. He will suffer when he or she did corruption. And by punishing the corruptor with a severe punishment, will return the public trust in government. If they could see the government really overcome the corruption case with this kind of punishment, with the severe punishment, of course the public will trust the government again. In our status quo, there are a lot of citizens that go to social media judging the government ways to overcome the corruption. Like I said, and by impoverishing them, we will make the public trust us again. And we, as the classic government, believe that impoverishing the corruption will give them deterrent effect, behavior change, and also return their public trust that the government lost because of the ways how they overcome the corruption. That's all. Thank you.